This is the Royal Enfield Classic 350, and the project for today is to take the slack out of the front wheel pivot bearings. This is a brand new bike, but it came from the dealer with so much slack in the pivot bearings that the front wheel could be moved backwards and forwards about 25 millimeters. The clamps that secure the front forks were also loose, so there was a 10 millimeter gap between the top of the fork and the head frame. The clamp bolts that secure the front forks are located behind the Royal Enfield nameplate. The pivot bearings are located at either end of this tube behind the forks. To adjust the pivot bearings, the first step is to remove the handlebar by removing these 4 bolts. Place a cloth over the tank to prevent the handles scratching the tank. With the handlebar out of the way, you can access the adjusting nut that tightens what I assume are tapered roller bearings inside the pivot tube. But first there is a locking bolt that is accessed from the left-hand side of the bike using an Allen key. This locking bolt stops the adjusting nut from unscrewing itself when the handlebars are turned. There is not enough room to get any sort of spanner onto the locking nut, so there are notches around the edge that will allow a screwdriver or punch to be used to rotate the nut. Tapping the nut anti-clockwise loosens it and clockwise tightens. The nut should be tightened gradually until all movement in the forks is eliminated. Care should be taken not to over-tighten. When the adjustment is correct, the locking bolt should be tightened to stop the adjusting nut from moving. Please feel free to forward any corrections, questions or comments. Thank you. Just as a side note, it was mentioned earlier in the video that this is a new bike, so why all the bugs stuck to the front? This shot was taken after the bike finished the famous Oxley Highway trip from Wallhope to Walker and return, a distance of 163 kilometres each way, including 300 sharp curves over a distance of 40 kilometres. This is reputed to be one of the best bike rides in New South Wales.